welcome to the new year. I was hoping to get this video done before I ran out to Chicago to pick up my parents. My dad had some complications, and I spent the new year in Zion, about an hour north of Chicago. About an hour drive, so I've lost a day in there somewhere just driving back and forth. So that's what's been going on in my world. Now that we're into 2016, I figured I'd record the other two videos for the recap of 2015, considering it was one of the best years of my life. So let's get back into it. When we left off, we were into June. I was doing the Comic-Con, getting too ready to go, and then comes July. And with July brought all these fantastic things. So let's talk about it. I got into Bristol, working on Bristol paper for issue 3 finally. After doing 2 issues on regular computer paper, the Bristol was a very nice change. I suggest if you are planning on doing your own comics, start right out on Bristol, because it will just save you time not having to resize things. It'll be the perfect size for you, and it'll give you more experience working in the medium rather than moving into the medium. It was a lot of fun. It flowed nicely. Inking on it was a dream, and then turning those pages in. Scanning is a little difficult if you don't have an oversized scanner. I've showed off the process quite a few times where I have my itty bitty scanner and I have to do them in sections and then stitch them together, but works for me. I could save some time by getting a bigger scanner, but the one I've got right now is working for me, so we're gonna stick with it. So got pencils done for 3. Started my second 100-day run, and along with that I did 100 days of sketching some things, and I did not do that one, but I did this one. This was day 1 through 25 of sketching somethings. I started this project back in February, where it was just sketch 100 somethings, and since there's a lot of zombies in this series, well, will be, there's a few here and there right now, but there are going to be some pretty big scenes with a lot of zombies, so I figured what better way to do 100 somethings than to make these puppets beforehand. And this print got made for Christmas, day 1 through 25, and that's the colored version. These will come into play later down the road, but for now, it was just another project to start the run alongside the 100 days of 100 draw somethings. So along with that, we found out my dad did have prostate cancer, and we started running all over the place, trying to find some answers. Was getting shut down here and there, and for probably a couple months there, it seemed like nothing was going to be figured out. Finally it did, but we'll get to that in a little bit. Other Kickstarters I tossed money towards were Elf Lord series, Yin Yang Twins, and then one titled When You Bleed to Death, and then Plug, the Art of Plug. When You Bleed to Death just contacted everybody the other day. This is his first project. He wrote the novel to coincide with it, so all the story details are done. He just has to do the artwork for it, so who knows when that will be done, but I am excited about the project nonetheless. Yin Yang Twins was a good one-off spin. I think they could do more with it, but for now they haven't. Elf Lord is a continuing process. I haven't heard from them in a little while. And Plug, that art book is going to be massive. I think they added another 50 pages or something to it, so I think it's like over 400 pages of dude's art from last 30 years or so. Pretty excited about that. So then August rolls around, and August had this stuff. Issue 2 of my series came in, and it looked phenomenal. Continue work on issue 3, but now I had 2 books to my name. They looked even better than the first one. Let's see. Martin Abel's book came in. I was talking about that one of the last videos, where it was one of the best things that I'd gotten last year, and more so for the guidebook, showing his process and behind the scenes details that you probably wouldn't be able to find anywhere else but in that book. So then I did the third Kickstarter for the third book and only ran it for a week. With each one of these Kickstarters, I was trying something new to figure out what worked the best for each one of them. And to say the least, the 1 week Kickstarter was successful, but not as successful as it could have been. I shortchanged myself with giving the chance for other people to find it. That 1 week campaign, it worked, but at the same time it didn't work as well as I would have loved it to have worked. And then with that, I had a couple people drop off just because they weren't ready for it. I gave basically no mention of it beforehand and just made it live, ran for a week, and then it was done. And probably could have been better, but I was looking to get 3 out the door as soon as possible. it made what I needed it to get the books done. And at that point, ran into a bunch of printer issues. There was miscommunication. He was on vacation. A lot of things fell through the cracks and whatnot. And we started to set it up at the end of August. Issue 3 was basically done, but just kind of started falling apart. When I was getting the proofs, or when I was getting the second issue in, I did, however, have my friends look at it, and they knew what was coming on, but it hadn't been revealed yet. So then when I've gotten the pages inked, I showed them off for issue 3, and this reaction came from them for a special scene in the book, and I'll show you that right now.
That is perfect. That's fucking sweet.
Yeah.
So with that reaction, my two best friends showed me with their actions that I was on this right path, and this is what I needed to be doing, and 3 became better and better. There are behind the scenes stuff that I'm getting to show off when I type up the blogs as I release the spreads, and I don't necessarily want to get into it right now, but know that they're pretty significant. Along with this, a poem was written for a couple things that were happening in the book, and I will get to those in those blog posts as well. But know that they are significant. That poem that was written for the book, since I was having problems with my printer and we were having miscommunication and whatnot, I was able to find time to do this new painting that actually ended up in issue 3 in the back. And let me show you that. So I was able to do this big, massive painting for this poem that was written for this book, for a certain scene in there. And along with that, you got that print of the day 1 through 25. That was in issue 3 as well. Also along with that, days 35 through 39 of the second run of 100 days were done as Kickstarter help. With that third Kickstarter, I learned quite a bit of information, and I wanted to pass that along to other people. If you want to check those out, they're in the second run of 100 days. I will link the actual 5 days videos down below too for Kickstarter help. And then for Kickstarters I donated to the month of August was Don Hertzfeldt on Blu-ray. Basically his whole back catalog was caught up for this whole project just because people just kept throwing money his way, which was awesome because he definitely deserves it. And then came Blood of the Blood Moon, I think it was. Story about Lycans or werewolves or whatnot. It came in the other day, and much like a couple of the other ones previous in the year, it wasn't my style, but there are definite things that I want to take and make them my own for my own series, so it was helpful in that regard. And then you got September, which along with Kevin Cross doing his third run of 100 Days Making Comics brought all this stuff. September, I started putting my comic on my website blog as a webcomic. Along with that, started doing behind the scenes look at a more in-depth look at the series. It has started with one. I just got it caught up last week to the current position it is in. Next spread will be out on Monday the 4th. So that will be the next spread. The next behind the scenes will be this coming Thursday, which will be the 7th. So let's see. Also brought along with September came Art Drop Day, which happened to be the first day of the month that happened. I did a bunch of sketches in a couple sets. I think I did 5 sets of the first 2 issues. I had comic books, floppy comic books of them. Did one sketch in the beginning of each one of those sets, and then left them around for people to find. I had to babysit my nephews that day, so I left one here in my hometown. I left 3 in a town where most of my friends live, and then left the other set in the town I would be babysitting my nephews in as well. So those seem to hit it off well. I think one of the set is actually in the local coffee shop there in Fort Dodge, which a couple of my friends work at, which is cool because I've had a lot of people commenting on when the next issues are, and when can they read them, and all this other stuff. And I'm like, I've got issues for you right now. So along with that, issue 1 was actually accepted to Comixology, and I had sent it off 4 months prior and didn't think anything of it, and all of a sudden it was accepted. So I had 2 and 3 already done, so I was like, mad rush to get those sent off to them. That first issue is pretty rough. Second and third one are a little rough still. I think I got it pretty much down with 4. The 5th issue should be really well done for Comixology. With that being said, I think it took a week for the 2nd and 3rd issue to be accepted. Once issue 1 was very accepted. Words and stuff. So did the Art Drop Day. We got Kevin's Patreon, Kevin Cross's Patreon. He started that up in September, I believe. Maybe it's Shooter Trip. No, in September I got the first sketch card from his Patreon, and along with that got a new series called The Bank Shift Man by JoJo Steams. I'll link all these down below so you can check those out as well. And then of course that reveal of that point in issue 3 with my friends. And then the poem and painting. And I was still waiting on proofs of number 3 at this point. I was really honestly looking for a new printer at this point, and didn't think it was going to happen with my regular guy that I'd started to build a relationship with, and he just started rubbing me the wrong way. We'll get into that next video, but to wrap this all up, we also hit day 55, which was National Suicide Prevention Day. Fell on it, and I did a very special video for that as well. Put the link down below if you haven't checked that out. I suggest you do. You get a little bit more history and backstory of my life, some of the things I've dealt with, and then day number 70 was a big one as well because I showed the inking process of issue 4, spoke of the comic, what was all happening with it, and things you may have missed. I'll put the links to all these days down below. Kevin's Patreon, all the series and stuff that I've mentioned, Also, September was a big donations for Kickstarter thing as well. And I was actually going over my resolutions for last year, and one of my resolutions was to at least donate to one Kickstarter every month to help other creators, and I had that in spades. I think I did an average of 3 a month, which I think was pretty good. I've learned a lot of valuable tips along the way, just from donating to people and talking to other creators that way. If there's somebody you want to talk to, donating to their Kickstarter to learn more is one of the easiest ways, because it seems to be creators doing Kickstarters want to talk about their project and want to talk about the project process. So they're easy to get a hold of and talk to about all those things. So in the month of September, I donated to Lightweight, a comic series, Black Suited Death, that didn't make the cut. But through that one, I found Kira Ipsum. It was their 4th year of a trade back they were doing. They've done this webcomic series for 4 years now, and they do a trade every single year. I'm still waiting on that trade, but as far as I've seen, they've done a lot of great work up to this point in making killer products, or they want to be able to hit those marks. Along with that, found another comic series called The Gun. I think it was their 2nd volume that they were kickstarting, along with Louish, The Art of Louish. I've been following her the beginning of this year. She's got some rad art. I'll put a link to a pre-order for her book, but I think I got one of the last ones of the signed ones available, so I was pretty stoked about that. And then the last one was the robot battle between America and Japan. I've got a sticker on the back of my van showing my support for Team America and their robot that is going to be battling Japan's robot. I'm pretty excited about the process. They've done a lot of updates showing how they're upgrading their robot, and hopefully we'll take on this other one hand-to-hand combat, and I'm excited about that whole process. So then, we're going to cut right now. Well, not right now, but in a few seconds now. And then we'll cover the last 3 months of 2015 and show you just how incredible this year was right now.